Kamala Harris has accepted the Democratic Party's nomination for the post of Vice President of the United States. It is the first time a woman of Black and Indian American heritage has been nominated for such a position by any major U.S. political party. Besides the U.S., her candidature is also generating excitement in the country of her mother's birth, India, a nation where Kamala still has family ties. But the question really is if and how that will impact relations between the US and India.
Banners of Kamala Harris, not in the United States, but in India. The possibility of an Indian American becoming the next US vice president is stoking national pride, especially in her grandparents' native Chennai in the south of the country. It gives me immense pride as a woman to learn that a woman with roots in this city is all set for the US vice presidential election.
If you see, it's the second generation, right? Kamala Harris is the second generation. And if you see how wonderfully she has brought up the two girls, they are so very well educated and yet rooted. They have not forgotten where they belong to.
Kamala Harris invoked her Indian heritage while accepting her nomination for the US vice presidency.
And there's another woman whose name isn't known, whose story isn't shared, another woman whose shoulders I stand on. And that's my mother, Kamala Gopalan Harris. She came here from India at age 19 to pursue her dream of curing cancer.
Many Indians wonder what a winning Biden-Harris ticket in November would mean for relations with the United States. Kamala Harris is of Indian descent. She should win the election. And she should also be in favor of India.
What she does to the US and how the American diplomacy with India will be or will exist after she became the vice president, that's all matters.
A sentiment many in India will see as the true test of Kamala Harris's Indian heritage.
Let's get more on this. Dhruva Jaishankar is director of the US initiative of the Indian think tank, the Observer Research Foundation, and he joins me now from Washington, D.C. Dhruva, great to have you on the program. Just straight off the bat, would it make any difference to US-India ties if Kamala Harris were to be elected vice president of the United States?
I mean, I think the short answer is actually no, that she's running for vice president of the United States, not of India. She will be, I think as a U.S. leader, and she's shown this as a senator and in other positions during her political career, that she will be, it's natural that she will be looking out for the best interests of the United States in its foreign relations. So I mean, I think that's really at the key. In some ways, her story, it's quite natural that people in India will see in her story a sort of a story of inspiration and be proud of what she and her family have achieved but ultimately it will have as much of an impact on US-India relations as Barack Obama's presidency had for US-Kenya relations, which is not very much.
That's an interesting analogy. Then why does Kamala Harris keep bringing up her Indian heritage, for example, in her speeches?
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a remarkable story. Her mother coming as a very young student to the United States by herself and meeting, Kamala Harris's father, raising two children as a single mother, getting a PhD. It is quite a remarkable life story. So it's interesting. It makes sense for her to harken back upon it. But the other thing is, I think there is definitely an attempt to appeal to Indian American voters and people, for women, people who, will find inspiration in Kamala Harris's heritage and background. So I think that a big reason why, even in her speech last night, where she used the Tamil word, the Indian language word for her aunts, something like that will resonate very positively with a lot of Indian American voters.
Speaking of the Indian American vote, Dhruva, is it important only to get candidates elected, or does it also somehow impact relations between India and the US?
There is some relation, of course. I mean, for a lot of Indian American voters, good relations between the United States and India does matter. It is one of the issues on their policy agenda that they would like to see materialized. And so in that sense, we did see, for example, on Saturday, on August 15th, which is India's Independence Day, both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris making a statement about to the Indian American community on India's Independence Day. So there is that connection, but ultimately, I think this is really about a minority community in the United States, and they have a set of issues. Only one of which is relations with India that resonate and that matter quite a lot for them.
I'd like to talk to you about the Indian government. Surely there would be a preference potentially in the current Indian government dealing either with a Biden White House or a Trump White House. Which do you think they prefer and why?
I don't think there's a strong preference either way. I think each candidacy and each platform offers certain advantages from an Indian point of view. And certain disadvantages as well. So, for example, with Trump has taken competition with China quite seriously, and sometimes to the benefit of the U.S.-India strategic relationship. In some ways, India has been a major beneficiary of Trump's free and open Indo-Pacific policies. At the same time, I think that there are deep and abiding concerns about Trump's approach to trade, his approach to immigration, and those two things in particular. I expect should he be re-elected, that he would take a much stronger position, especially on immigration, which will have some negative impact for India. On the other hand, the Biden administration, I think, will be much more open to partnering with India on issues like trade and climate change, particularly. So the latter being something that has been off the agenda. Will offer some relief from an Indian point of view on immigration. But there are concerns about how seriously they will take the geopolitical approach to China and to Pakistan, to issues that India has serious concerns about. So I think each candidacy offers certain upsides and downsides from an Indian perspective.
We'll leave it there for the time being, but thank you so much for joining us. Dhruva Jaishankar speaking to us from Washington, D.C.